welcome to Realm of Wonders, another episode of Cyrils Brettspiele durchgespielt, which is totally easy, with the wizard and the golem.
I'm a wizard now?
Take a look at your board! And I'm the golem. You never thought that?
I dropped something.
Oh yeah, like always. Okay, let's talk about Realm of Wonders today from Mind Warrior Games. So yeah, that's the game we are talking about. And who's taking the rules today?
Me.
Oh, it's... Okay, let's go over to Showan.
Don't make me wizard slap you.
A wizard is always precise.
Okay, so Realm of Wonders, there are basically three ways to win in this game. At the beginning of the game, you're going to take these story cards, and each one has a certain condition tied to it. And you're going to look up what that condition means in the storybook. Under the appropriate passage, it will describe how, like, the victory conditions for that game. So that's one way. If you complete that objective, your player will collect this victory point disc, and then you have to bring that, and then you have to move your character all the way to the castle in the center. That's the first way to win the game. You're rewarded by the king. Second way to win is throughout your travels you are going to find these little towers here, which I'll go over more in detail in a sec. They could be monsters, allies, potions, orbs, number of things. You can dethrone the king by collecting 3 monster tiles, killing and collecting 3 monster tiles and reaching the center there. Or you can bring either 3 cursed or 3 good magical orbs to the king as well, and either of those conditions will also let you win the game. So, how do we get there in this wonderful Realm of Wonder? The game starts by everybody starting off with movement cards. Now if you look here, you can see movement cards. Basically they have this winged foot. There's a number up here. That's the movement value of the card. The smaller number here is movement points that you're actually going to have at your disposal during the turn. And there might be another symbol here, which in this case, you know, you play this card and you get a magic card, a magic spell card, in addition to whatever your movement points are going to be. Players are going to take all their cards, their movement cards, simultaneously choose one. Maybe this one, maybe another player chooses this one, and then obviously more players, everybody's going to contribute one. You reveal the cards, you're going to compare the movement card value here. In this case, the player who played the 46 is higher, they're going to move first. Take your attention over to the turn order track here. The player who played the highest movement value is going to be first in line, followed by the next, and then the next, and so on. Now note here that the first person in turn movement order is also going to be the last person to cast their spells. So there's a reverse order there. After the movement values have been resolved, then players have an opportunity to take their spell cards. And these will let you cast spells that usually give you some kind of benefit, or they will actually hurt other players. In this case, playing this card will benefit you by getting +3 to your movement points. This cannon symbol will let you destroy other people's forts. I'll talk about that in a second. Or maybe you want to hinder somebody's movement by taking away 3 of their movement points. There's also some cards which have this little muscle symbol. You know, that's my bicep there. It looks so good. Flexing that. That's for combat. I'll explain that in a second. So after you've decided which spells you're going to cast, you don't have to. You can decide on the spells. Then players are going to carry out their movement. So if I'm starting off with this little Yeti, isn't he nice and cute? So he's going to move around the board now. When you reach certain spaces, there could be symbols like this. In this case, there's a magical vortex. I can play magic points in order to activate that. So I would pay the magic points, and that means I can travel to the next available magical vortex for a cost, and that helps me get around the board faster. If you look here, for example, here's a Rune Stone. Now these are tricky. This is really cool about this game. Landing here, that's going to let me manipulate the rings of the board that you can see here. There's 2 of them. By paying, I think it's 1 point, I can roll a die. If you look at the die here, there's a color corresponding to each person in the game. Paying 1 die will let you roll it. whichever color it lands on, I get to manipulate one of the rings and align it with that color's pathway. It doesn't matter if they match or not, that just means that he can now travel from here to here. Or I can pay more magic points and actually set it to however I want. Maybe I want it on my home tile. Oh, sorry, missed it there. Yeah. So I can align it in, I don't even know if that's the proper space, but I can choose how I want to do it. The key with these rings are these little whirlpools here, these little holes. If that's ever aligned with your colored pathway, that means that this player is going to get an extra magic point during the income phase. Let's continue on here. We'll travel to these little magical well symbols here. You can't cross over walls, you'll have to go around, but these little things here, this is a chance to get more magic points. Whenever I land there, I can pay magic points to build a fort. What that means is I'm going to get so many more magic points in return. You can build these to a maximum of 3. And the only way to get it higher than that is there's a spell card, I believe it's this one here, that lets you transfer a piece from one of your other forts over to this one. I think that's the only way that you can build higher than 3 normally. But like I said, these cannon cards that you can play will actually break them down. So anyways, the more forts you have, the more magic points you'll get during the income phase. Then you have these little spaces here with these fortresses. You pay a magic point to reveal that. It could be a monster. That's exactly what we need. So you'll have a combat round. And if you can kill that monster, you collect that tile. That will be one of the 3 that you need to fulfill your endgame conditions. It could also be in this case is a cursed orb. Now cursed orbs, you do need 3 of them will let you win the game, but if it's a cursed orb, that also takes away 1 magic point that you can potentially earn during the income phase. But it will still win you the game. There's a good orb. That gives you +1 to your magic during the income. So players are going to take their turns, they're going to move all the way around the board, crossing the paths, try to come in here, again crossing paths eventually. You could fight each other, fighting each other will let you take these tiles that they've collected. When you get 3 of what you need, you just come in here, come up the stairs, that's the winner of the game. Okay, so the turns in the game are very short. Like I said, you look at the movement value, you have 5 points of movement. You're gonna move your guy, 1, 2. Now these spaces with the double lines here on the border are gonna count as 2 to move into. So that'll be 3, 4, 5. There's an example of a completed move. Do my actions along the way as long as I have the points to pay for it. Once I'm done, the other player will take their turn, and we'll go around the table following the turn order. And then after that, we begin a new round. So you get your income points, you choose your movement cards, then you'll have the chance to cast the spells, then you actually carry out your movement and do what you need to do. So the first person who can make it all the way to the center, then as long as you met one of those 3 winning conditions, then you win the game.
Okay, Showan, thanks so much for the explanation of the rules. Perfect and brilliant as always, you little teacher guy.
Wizard. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, you're a wizard. You're correct. So let's talk about the components. And I would say after you talk hours for the
3 hours.
3 minutes. I'm just kidding. So let's talk about the.
I don't know what happens behind the scenes.
Oh, we should.
I went to Tim Hortons, had a coffee, come back.
Tim Hortons. Nobody in this world knows Tim Hortons except for Canadians.
Tim Hortons is an international brand.
Yeah. Of course. Anyway, skip that.
Oh, man, everybody knows that logo. Wow.
Yeah. So let's talk about the components. So first of all, I really like this miniature. So every character, there are 6 different characters because this game is for 2 to 6 players, which is enormous by the way for a game. Has a very cool miniature that looks cool. So everybody has this little tokens. I know you can't see it. Everybody has this thick cardboard player board, which is cool. Yeah, the cards. Oh, again today we sleeved our card. That's the reason why it's a little bit shiny. These tower tokens, and especially the board with this rotating thing. So yeah, components wise it's cool, it looks shiny, it looks fresh. Nothing really wrong for me with
really good artwork.
with the components, except for these little tokens. What is this?
That seems like such a minor thing after all that.
Yeah, it is a minor thing, but what the hell is that? So, make some mini creatures, whatever, but maybe even wooden cubes, but not this cardboard
That would
token.
have been cool. Have like a second miniature.
Oh yeah.
That would have been cool actually.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. But this is, but again, this is just a minor thing because all the other things are really cool. If I remember correct, you said you are not 100% happy with the dice because of the stickers.
The dice. Well, yeah, the components. You see all that, but then with the dice, these custom dice, they're just little stickers. Which the biggest problem I have with that is you get a smooth die, you put a sticker on that. Well, what's gonna happen after playing it for so long? People holding the die, rolling it, they're gonna wear off, right? I don't know if there's any way to remedy that.
No idea.
Can you put glue on it or something? I don't know. Can you cover it? You're gonna risk fixing the die, then it's gonna be rolling what you want all the time.
I'm pretty sure if you put glue on it, it's getting uneven.
Exactly. Yeah.
And some colors are favored. I mean, cheating is okay, but cheating on that way to make a little blob of glue on it.
Thankfully, it's not that big of a problem. Like these are symbols that you could easily. You could draw, you could get a picture, you could put it on after the fact if it wore off. This is basically just a color.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's not, so I think it's a minor complaint. It's just one that I'm not too crazy
Yeah, I just remember that you told me that story once.
Yeah.
But what I really like
the artwork is awesome in the game. I love the artwork for it. It's got a cool cartoony feel. I love that. The miniatures, yeah. I love this guy.
The Yeti?
I want to take him home as a pet.
Okay, let's take a little bit about the mechanics in the game and is it fresh? Is it new? Is it cool?
Let's start with the obvious thing. This.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know what you meant. Yeah, the board itself. What I really like in the gaming industry in these days, a lot of people thinking about how can I create a eye-catching, outstanding thing.
Yeah.
I remember 3 years ago that wasn't so big in this industry, but right now,
It's changed so much now.
yeah, every company tries to. We have to have one outstanding, eye-catching thing. If we wanted to present our game in a store, at a convention, or even at your personal player group. You have to have an eye catcher, and yeah, definitely the rotating thing is the eye catcher for that game, the board.
Yeah.
So you would say this is new?
Oh, definitely. Well, new, maybe not necessarily new, but yeah, it's fresh, it's different. I honestly don't know too many games that do that kind of stuff. What was the last game you played where you could spin the board like that?
No idea.
I have no idea. Everything else, I think it's pretty more or less just
Game of life.
Game of life. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Everything else is just pretty much drawing cards like secretly and then playing them. So that's not new.
Yeah,
It's not a bad thing. It's just not new. This is definitely the main thing here, the gimmick.
Yeah, technically, I fully agree. There's nothing really new on it. It's just movement, cast a spell. Go 3, 4, 5 movement points, make some minor actions, draw a tile, which is technically totally random. There are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different tile pieces you can have. So an enemy or an orb, which is both really super cool. You can sometimes only draw a spell, which is, okay, yeah, I draw a spell. Okay, good, go on. A potion could be interesting. So one of these little things, but there's nothing really new in it. But is it good?
Is it good?
Let's make it a little bit different. On all your games you played that game, is there only one winning strategy?
For this game, the overall strategy is basically you're trying to meet an endgame condition or you're collecting a certain amount of items, and that's it. You just got to be the first to make it to the center.
So technically it's a race game.
Yeah, pretty much. One thing I did find that was kind of weird was I forget what story quest it was, but there was one in here that I don't know. Some of the quests seem to be, do this elaborate thing. You might have to do so many of one thing, like do so many certain actions. I think one was building forts exactly. I think you had to build like whatever amount of forts it was, and it was just easier to find tiles that were monsters or orbs and just do that instead. It was faster and easier to do that. So that
but keep in mind there are not so many monsters in it. If you play that with 6 players, it's really crowded.
I think so. Yeah.
So it depends on the players.
Well, that's why there's spell cards in here that I think one's called Wish. And it lets you take a tile from somebody.
And if you get 2 or 3 of these wishes and you can steal 2 or 3 orbs, that's very easy to complete them.
Then all you gotta do is just make a run for the center. And I mean, really, the only chance other people have of stopping you is just to fight you.
Or rotating the thing and blocking you off.
I think it's better to fight, because if you defeat an opponent, then they have to go back to their home, like where their little house is. They have to go back to that, as in addition to losing that tile.
Or to another spawning.
They have to come back to a spawning point. Yeah. It's probably more effective to do that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a way to slow him down, but if he's already far ahead, really is not going to be much chance to catch him.
I would say you're right. So it's race game is maybe the right phrase for that game. So you're racing for getting these tower tiles, flipping it over, and if you're lucky, you draw good tiles. If you're not lucky, you're drawing some minor good tiles, let's call them, or crap. Anyway,
crap.
And it's not it's not really easy to stop one guy. So this leads us directly to critics, right?
So I mean, I think there's a lot of randomness in this game.
Oh yeah.
Definitely the cards you draw. I mean, the movement doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
And by the way, the audience, especially the German audience, know I'm hating randomness in games.
Yeah.
So anyway,
randomness in the spell cards there is an example of the wish card. Looks like a big hand coming out of the heavens there, just taking a tile from some
that's my card because that's the best one.
Okay, well this is mine, the lightning bolt. I'm gonna shove that somewhere. Alright, let's keep it PG. Anyways. I mean... Cut that?
Should we put it PG-13?
Yeah, let's have a disclaimer. So
maybe PG-18 is that?
Maybe.
It's
rated R?
Yeah, that gives a little bit more views and clicks for us, right?
Oh yeah, true.
The violent show!
Hey, on a more serious note, one thing that I found was a problem with this game, and I'm gonna say it's a problem because there was one game that we played, and specifically I remember you won it in like a matter of minutes, and it was because you had
this was the wishes.
It was because you had the horseshoe or maybe the whole horse somewhere. You were drawing all the tiles that were orbs, and you drew 3 of them.
No, only 1, and I stole 2 from Kenny. Maybe you remember, 2 in a row from Kenny, in 2 different.
Maybe that was it, but I mean, it happened so fast, and
Kenny flipped it over, and I.
By the time you got to the center, I mean, I hadn't even gotten out of my first zone because every tile that I turned over was a monster, and I was getting beat in combat. So I'm gonna say that the biggest issue that I have with this game is the randomness of the tiles.
Efficiency.
I mean, efficiency, whatever. I think that's gonna hurt the game. You can play with a variant where they're all turned face up at the start of the game. I think the rules suggested that. I just think it's a little weird. I mean, if I can see them all ahead of time, I don't know. I'm not crazy about that.
Yeah.
But the randomness of these tower tiles, I think that was a big issue for me. Probably not for you because you won.
No. Again, I have to agree with you. So, especially because I hate randomness. So, especially this particular game wasn't really funny because I know from the get-go that I will win the game very early in the game after 5-10 minutes. So, the only issue for me was to come into the middle and they tried to stop me, but it's
You were too far
we
ahead.
played at that time with 3 players, and with 3 players it's nearly impossible to stop one. So
Yeah.
with more players it's a little bit easier, especially with the rotating, but you have to go to this specific spot first, then rotating. So with more players, one player is always very close to the spot, so obviously it's very easy to stop one. But with 3 players, it's really hard. So, and this particular game was really a little bit boring because everybody know I will win the game, and that is definitely coming from the randomness of the tiles. So the randomness of the tiles, I would say it sucks. Especially and in addition with the spells, there are some really, the wish is really powerful and the other ones are okayish. So yeah, you can screw up. Okay, you can screw up if you're playing that with 2 or 3 players by just luck.
I think it's very hard when one person gets a good lead. It's very hard to stop that person, I think.
The last time I played it with 6 players, was a full swing of 6 players. I didn't have that experience because we
it's totally different.
Yeah, because we rotated that so much, and you always try to go. Oh no, shoot! So then you try to go around, and then it was again. So there was a lot of
that was just
stopping the leading person, but it was a little bit like this. Munchkin feeling. So you know you're the leading person, and you know, but it's an extent of time. Everybody stopped to fulfill the end goal condition just by expanding the game.
And they couldn't work on their own stuff.
Yeah, but with 6 players it was a little bit different because there are coming more wishes out, and I lost my 3rd orb over the course of the game. So, but anyway, there's technically, and that's definitely a critical point on that game, there is, for my personal feeling, too much luck in it. But I am not a huge fan of luck, so, to be honest.
So then let's...
Other critics?
Not really. I mean, everything... I think that's just a major thing there.
Yeah.
Just that. I mean, that's it. That's it for me, anyway.
Okay. For me too.
So what about the fun and then the replayability factor?
Fun definitely comes out of the group, obviously. So and I figured
you want to be.
Yeah, and I'm pretty figured out that it's more a really kids-friendly game, especially with this fairy and fantasy theme, some magical things, and then I'm cutting you off. That's more funny for kids instead of for. It's not a really adult game. It's not a gamer's game, right? It's not a heavy strategic like Aquasphere or all the other things we are talking about.
Yeah,
sometimes
Aquasphere. I can see Stefan Fell's sub there. He's traveling. He's giving us the finger.
So yeah, that's definitely a more kids-like game. And if you have a family or the kids bring over friends and playing board games a lot, then it's definitely a game you should try out because that is exactly the market for the game, from my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree completely. I think it's meant for a younger audience. If you're at a games night or something, I think if you bring this, you're gonna get slapped, laughed at, or kicked in the what.
Yeah, now you're talking about an adult gaming night in a pub or something like
yeah,
this.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but there could be a kids gaming night as well.
I don't know, maybe the kids will do that to you too, I don't know. Kids these days...
I slap you in the face with PG-18, so if you want.
Have you seen kids these days? They don't care.
Yes.
Anyways.
Do you remember the last gaming day? Yeah, you were sleeping all day long.
I don't know what you're talking about, you gotta be more specific. With 3 or 4 a week, you gotta be a little bit more specific.
So, talking about winning strategies, so he is definitely not a winning strategy. It's just pure luck, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could kind of hang around the inner rings and then wait for somebody to get the tiles you need and steal them from them. You can go after the guy and beat him down until you take his tiles, or you can just hope for drawing them yourself. I don't know.
Okay, then let's go over to the recommendations.
Okay, well...
Should I go first? You go first. So, yeah, for me...
I said I'll go first.
For me, definitely a recommendation, maybe a high recommendation, if you have a family and the kids love board games with a lot of people. So, a 5 or 6 player board game for kids is not really common in this market. So especially 6 players in one game for which is kids friendly, is really uncommon.
Well, can I ask you a question then? Do you think the game is affected by the amount of players? Do you think it really
absolutely.
slows it down and hurts the game with more players? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess you should have talked about that first.
Especially because it's very hard to collect 3 monsters or 3 orbs with 6 players.
Yeah, I can see that because there's only a limited amount.
Exactly.
Like, all the tiles, there's just enough to cover the spaces in the game.
Exactly.
No
and kids in this age, around 10, 12-ish, they love to cutthroat themselves. So, not themselves, each other. So, and stealing these orbs. And that's what the fun has come out of the game, if the kids are fighting each other and saying, that's my orb, blah, blah, blah. So, for this specific group, it's really good for especially kids in this age, but for gamers, let's say not a recommendation for gamers.
No, I can't say anything other than that. Hardcore gamers, or
hardcore. Are you a hardcore gamer?
No, not by any means. Not like you. Gamers that are looking for adult gamers, I'd say you stay away from this. But if you've got
what is it, adult? We are PG-18 today,
not
so
not those kind of games.
Okay.
We don't want to know what you do in your spare time.
I don't have spare time. I have kids.
If you got younger kids, you're gonna play with a younger audience, by all means, I think it would be cool to break it out. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't bother with it. So basically the same as you then.
Yeah. Sounds boring today, right? Every sentence is agreed by the other one. It sounds boring.
Every game is made for a certain audience.
That's true. That's one point I definitely have to point out in that game, and I can show it. I come around and can show it. In this case, I can show you the miniatures as well and some close-ups for that. But I'm coming
throw it
around
at the screen.
So take a look. First of all, about these boards, they are looking gorgeous, right? You have this tokens here, on one side a fist, on the other your golem, so this is for special abilities. We didn't explain that. And then the miniatures here, just to take a closer look for that. So they are really cool. This is the golem. Oh, it's totally, I don't know if they can see it. It looks really, yeah, they can see you, Showan. So, but what I really wanted to say is this game comes into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 millions of languages, technically nine different languages. And that's, if it's in a game, you know, if you're watching all of my episodes, you know I'm always pointing that out. A big thank you for making a multilingual game with 9 different languages. Wow, what awesome is that. Do you have something to say?
That's it.
Okay, so then this was our table talk about Realm of Wonder. This time a little bit kid-friendly game.
Hey, that's a first. We need some of those.
Is it our first kid-friendly game?
Well, specifically for kids, I would think so.
Walk the plank. Hold your breath.
Yeah, that's debatable. Let's not debate that here.
Okay, let's talk about that next time. So, that was Table Talk, Cyrils Brettspiele durchgespielt, Table Talk Edition with the Wizard and the Golem. And see you next time. And there's one more sentence.
Yeah, like and subscribe. I don't have to say any more than that. You heard it a million times. Do it!
Million times?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, see you next time. Bye bye.
Slap you.
No.